Hi everyone, so another game of Sudden Strike, and this time I'm playing a scenario called Cold Storm, where I have to capture this compound, having crossed that river, this river here. Now there are three bridges over the river, there's the third one there. I have successfully played this scenario before and have discovered that it's impossible to get across those bridges without them being destroyed by enemy fire, which compels you to build a pontoon bridge and try and do an opposed crossing of the river that way. Now, the big secret I've discovered is to get your artillery to make a lot of preparatory bombardments of the enemy bank of the river. At the moment I'm being attacked by American forces. This is a bit of a weird setup because I'm playing Germans against Americans. It's obviously in a snowy landscape with Western European type buildings and so on, but some of the posters and things, such as at the railway halt, are in Russian, so a little bit kind of higgledy-piggledy there. Anyway, I'm just basically preparing some rudimentary defences along this side of my force here, just to keep the Americans at bay, and then I'm going to go on to making an attempt to get across the railway bridge, which I'm not very confident about succeeding in doing, but we'll give it a go. It's worth a go. If it fails, then I'll go on to the more arduous task of building a pontoon bridge, and you'll see later how difficult that is to perform whilst under fire. But my plan at the moment is to pepper the opposite side of the railway bridge with an artillery barrage, and then hopefully eliminate some of the enemy guns, and then race across with these motorcycle units, get them over the bridge before they come under fire, saving the bridge from being damaged, and then follow that up with further artillery fire onto the enemy guns that I will hopefully reveal, because the motorcyclists will spot them. Right, so here we go. I'm just laying down some artillery fire now. Yeah, and then follow that up with the heavier kind of Sturmtiger motorized artillery, which are very kind of powerful weapons, and hopefully they can, although they're slow moving, they will get across the bridge intact. And then once I've formed a bridgehead on the other side, then I can begin to pour mechanised kind of troops and armour across. That's the plan. So here we go with some artillery shelling of that area, just blind artillery fire. And in the meantime, Americans are causing a bit of a nuisance down there, but I'm just going to let the sort of artificial intelligence get on with dealing with that and get this attack going across the bridge. This is a slightly different scenario in character to the previous one I showed you, where I was capturing the officers. The Germans are kind of... Oh yeah, for one thing, I've got some air support, so I'm planning to drop some supplies in close to the guns there. And now here we go, the motorcyclists are going to race over the bridge, get my artillery ready, and as soon as there's a gun there, can lay some shots down, and then it's starting to go wrong because the motorcyclists got stopped on the bridge, and there's shells landing on the bridge, and there's a risk there that there's my planes going by underneath, but there's a risk there that the bridge is going to get a gap in it and then become unusable. And although I can build pontoon bridges, I haven't got the ability to repair the stone bridges. So all the motorcyclists have been destroyed, so now I'm just landing a few more shells just in the hope that I can obliterate anything that's within range of the bridge. And all I can do now is try and send these Sturmtigers over. Oh, and there's first of my... the Germans are really well kind of supplied with tanks and motor vehicles and so on. So you can see a few of them going across the bottom of the screen there a moment ago. And you can also see that the bridge has been damaged. It's still... the railway line is still in place, so for the time being I can get my tanks over that. But unfortunately there's a lot of infantry there with grenades and so on. The bridge is in a pretty poor state of repair, but at least I got a couple of heavier vehicles across, and they're not lasting very long. But unfortunately there's some Stugs coming over, and they're much more slowly moving, and they get destroyed. And not only that, but the bridge gets completely wrecked at that point. So this particular Stug now can't get over the bridge, and that's the end of that plan. So it's next plan B is to build a pontoon bridge, which is really, really tricky. You'll see as the video goes on. But plan A failed. Right, so here we go. There's loads of tanks and so on. So I'm going to let most of those, they seem to come on and be programmed to attempt to cross the river. And you can see that bridge there and a pontoon bridge there that the enemy are building are both pretty much wrecked at the moment. And I have in the past played this game where I've tried to get over that pontoon bridge and got nowhere with it. So I'm going to build my own one, and I'm just stopping a few of the tanks from ones that I think are going to be useful to me, and letting some of the others trickle down this side of the river, and they can kind of impede the enemy attacks. But now I'm just getting a few of these Sturmtigers actually do have the range. You see here, they do have the range to fire across the river, but they won't do that automatically unless an enemy unit is in sight on the other side, and my range of vision isn't such to allow me to actually do that. So I've got to put a pontoon over and get halfway across the river at least before I begin to see the enemy on the other side. I'm also just ensuring that there are supply vehicles close to the artillery to keep them supplied with shells, because it's really irritating if you run out of ammunition just as you're crossing the river, because you want sort of artillery support. And I'm moving some of these other guns that are just parked there, sitting target. I'm just moving those into a position where they can act as a bit of a defence as well against any American attacks. But as I said in the previous video on the subject of Sudden Strike, it really is like a version of Lemmings set in the Second World War. Unless you keep control, keep an eye on absolutely everything that's going on, these units just sort of march straight into the guns of the enemy. So you may have noticed there, I've just ordered a supply vehicle to build a pontoon bridge, start the construction of the bridge, and I'm laying down kind of another speculative artillery barrage on the other side, just to try and keep that area free of enemy troops, keep their heads down so that they're not firing at the engineers as they build the bridge. So those guns are selected there. They are field artillery, but they're too far away to give any support, so I'm just moving those a little bit closer. And there's the beginning of the bridge being constructed. So all I can do is watch that taking place and lob shells and rockets and so on blindly onto the opposite bank, just in the hope of hitting anything that's going to threaten the engineers as they go over. Another wave of armour coming onto the table. And this Sturmtiger I'm just moving now. I'm going to have him on the pontoon bridge, following the utility vehicle, so that he's got a sort of slightly longer reach with his armour, not with the armour, with his weapon, so he can lob a few shells a little bit closer. And what you see there is if you try and overextend the reach of those Sturmtigers and they haven't got the range, they actually set off to go across one of the other bridges, so you have to constantly keep checking that they're not attempting to do that. Another string of artillery shells there. Just trying to make sure nothing can survive in that immediate area opposite where the pontoon bridge is being built. But those units on the bridge are really vulnerable. Unlike the stone bridge, one hit and the whole wooden structure just goes up, and all your efforts are in vain. You have to start again. And here's that bottom Sturmtiger again, trying to make its way across the river. So I'll have to do something about that in a second. And there's some enemy bombers. Shut them down, but they always manage to land in the, on top of your forces, almost like a kamikaze attack. So my aircraft only supply me with resupplies, whereas the enemy aircraft are all bombers that can cause a lot of destruction if you don't have your anti-aircraft vehicles in the right place.
Einheit bereit. Weiter geht's.
So totally unrealistic in many ways, but it's a really fun game, and it does make you kind of plan and think, problem solve a little bit about the best way of reaching that objective.
Angriff.
Artillerie ist bereit.
Another frustration with that utility vehicle is that it can't build the bridge all in one go. It has to kind of stop and take a tea break halfway across. So it's idle at the moment, so it's just sitting there inviting enemy fire. So now I'm trying to wake it up. There we go, it's off again.
Wir sind bereit. Weiter geht's.
Now because I've got halfway over the river, I've got a little bit of a view of the other side, because you can see some shell craters there now. So that area that's slightly lighter, if any enemy came into that area, but there's obviously something around there because they're lobbing shells at me now. So there's something with the range, and all I can do is just pepper that area and hope that I hit it. So it's just a kind of obstinate struggle now to get across the river. Just lost one of my Sturmtigers there to oh look, there's little chaps on the other side, and they've blown up my utility vehicle. That's because the Sturmtigers were pointing in the wrong direction, otherwise they would have reacted to that and probably blown them out, but they were firing at enemy on this side of the bank. So now I've got to get them off the bridge before something else like that happens. So I've lost another section of the Ponting Bridge there, and here come a load more reinforcements, so we'll try and hold a few of those up and let the rest push the enemy back on this side of the river. And looking for another supply vehicle now. To get on with the business of building this bridge, which is halfway there, but unfortunately the easy half. On the map, the smaller mini map in the lower left there, you can see, you get a rough idea of what the area that I'm actually covering at the moment, the lighter area. So those tanks and so on are moving down the river towards the enemy's Ponting Bridge. As I say, I have tried in the past just allowing the enemy to build that and then race across it myself, but it never works. So I found it a lot easier to build my own bridge, even though it's a lot smaller and a lot less can get across it in a certain amount of time. and it looks like my supply vehicles got damaged or destroyed on the way there because there's no bridge building activity that I can see. So I'm gonna have to get another one. Oh, there's something coming in on the left of the screen there. That'll do. I'll pick that. There we go. Pick that. Order it to construct the bridge. And try and stop a few of the Sturmtigers as they go by and get them positioned to back the bridge building up. Follow it onto the bridge. Right, here we go. Drop some more shells around the area. That was the sort of general direction that those enemy missiles were coming from, so just trying to think where they're most likely to be.
Einheitsbereit. Weitergeht's. Verstanden. Los geht's.
The big difficulty with this is that it only takes an infantryman on an enemy soldier to be within visibility of that bridge building activity, and then guns that are a lot further back will lob shells into that area, and I've got no way of knowing where they are. They could be anywhere on the table, so it's a matter of trying to keep the enemy infantry back rather than knock out guns. I didn't even see where that came from, but another supply vehicle bites the dust. Get him off. No, too late again. So he's been knocked out as well. So just repeat. So that's the enemy pontoon bridge, and it is actually intact at the moment. So I'll just have a quick attempt to get over, race over with those motorcycles, and not bothered about the pontoon bridge building at all, but the my own vehicles come under fire now from the enemy, and the bridge there, you see the end of the bridge there is a wreck, so there's no way of getting across it. That's what happens time after time when you try and get across. So now I'm just trying to move a few things a little bit back from the bridge and maybe take advantage of that situation again if that occurs. Try and race over and get across with something at least. And as I say, get this utility vehicle here back on the bridge and building again. I'll just firing blind into that area. The other thing, of course, is that any enemy on this side of the river that can see that vehicle will also allow the enemy artillery on the other side of the river to fire. So I've got to keep them back on both sides of the river now. I do seem to be there. We see that's furthest I've got so far. Massive explosions from those Sturmtigers, so because it's looking a little bit promising, I'm sending another Sturmtiger over as well. Oh look, and there's a... oh, too late. There's a enemy vehicle there that I might be able to destroy, even though I can't see it, but got to go back to the drawing board again now, get those vehicles off the bridge before it's too late. I've got a little bit further. I'll get another bridge building unit into action. Oh, we've got enemy tanks there. Get off the bridge. Looking around for another supply vehicle. There's a couple there. Another wave of reinforcements. I'm trying to pick up a motorcycle there because they are really handy at sort of racing over the bridge once it's built before any shells can land, and it's a good way of getting across and revealing potential targets and so on. If that enemy vehicle's still around, to try and lob a few shells into that area. I may have managed to destroy it, but you just don't know. So close, yet so far. Gone again. I'm just trying to guess from the trajectory of the enemy shells where they might be firing from before I turn around and get off the bridge. Another wave of bombers. I bet that crashes somewhere really. I don't know. Get more tanks coming on. there is a support vehicle.
Wir sind bereit. Los, los, los!
See, that's Storm Tiger that's going the. Oh no, it's turning around.
Einheit bereit.
Trying to pick out the most. Oh no! Didn't even get. Oh.
Einheit bereit.
So I was too busy concentrating lower down and didn't even get to support that last vehicle. It's destroyed already.
Wir sind bereit. Los geht's. Pioniere bereit. Artillerie ist bereit.
Right,
Wir sind bereit. Motor ab.
once more.
Artillerie ist bereit.
I can see shells going over from the enemy side, so I think
Artillerie ist bereit.
that might work to my advantage if they're firing at the units further along the river rather than on this. Rather than on this, I was going to say, but once again, just lob a shell in before I go. A rocket, whatever it is. And,
Einheit bereit. Schneller.
it's those final couple of spans of the bridge that are really hard to get in place.
Neue Befehle? Wir sind bereit. Schneller. Pioniere bereit. Zu Befehl.
The amount of armour the Germans have at their disposal is just unreal. It's just going in a kind of constant stream and being knocked out.
Einheit
In a
bereit.
way, it's a bit wasteful, but
Los, los, los.
you have to kind of allow
Wir sind
some of the
bereit.
units to do their own thing, otherwise you just can't concentrate on your own,
Wir sind bereit.
the primary task. So this time I'm going to put all 3 Sturm Tigers on the bridge. And we'll see what happens this time.
Artillerie ist bereit. Wir sind bereit.
Coming under fire and destroyed once again.
Feind in Sicht. Wir sind bereit. Löschen Sie aus. Einheit bereit. Löschen Sie aus. Halten. Weiter geht's. Wir sind bereit.
Get them off. Get them off before more damage is done.
Weiter geht's.
Oh, right. Grab that vehicle. Where are you going? I must have missed that. That would have been come in handy to build the bridge, but never mind. There's one.
Neue Befehle? Zu Befehl.
Seems to be down to 2 Sturmtigers again, so
Bereit.
not quite sure what happened to that third one.
Weiter geht's. Einheit bereit. Motor an.
Artillerie ist bereit. Artillerie ist bereit. Artillerie ist bereit.
Einheit bereit.
Oh, right, there's another vehicle revealed itself. So this time
Angriff.
the Sturmtiger's pointing in the right direction and they destroy it. But oh dear.
Einheit bereit. Verstanden.
There's a gap there as well now to repair. But at least I know I've knocked out a bit of the enemy resistance on the other side. Meanwhile the bombers are busy crashing into my artillery.
Artillerie ist bereit. Pioniere bereit. Am Reparieren. Zu Befehl. Einen Augenblick, Herr Oberst.
Yep. Just taking a look at what's happening further down, and there's a gap on the bridge this side, so no chance of getting over there.
Weiter geht's.
So I'll just try and move those Panthers or whatever they are a little bit further back,
Einheit bereit.
and just
Motor an.
encourage the Americans to build the bridge there and then take advantage of it if they
Einheit
succeed.
bereit. Schneller.
In the meantime, holding off the
Wir sind
American
bereit.
advance so
Schneller.
they don't get to this far up the river.
Los geht's.
Artillerie ist bereit.
Ugh. This is very discouraging.
Wir sind bereit. Angriff. Los geht's.
Pioniere bereit. Zu Befehl.
Stop that utility vehicle. And, it's actually moving towards that Sturmtiger in order to try and replenish it with ammunition, but it's not very useful at this point.
Einheit bereit.
Stopping it getting off the bridge.
Pioniere bereit.
slowly losing guns in the back there because of damage from bombers and so on. So I'm not able to lay down as heavy a barrage as I was doing at the beginning of the game.
Wir sind bereit. Los, los, los!
Artillerie ist bereit.
So I've just got those Sturmtigers ready, and if anything pops into that illuminated area, I'll just fire at it straight away. Right, there's the bridge complete. So get off it before
Weiter geht's.
shells land. And then get those motorcycles over. Come on. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Yeah, so just did that in time.
Weiter geht's.
Both of the lead vehicles are destroyed, but I've got one Sturmtiger across the bridge. And now just send everything I can over. Pile over and get the artillery ready. There we go, there's another vehicle there. And a tank there, Sherman. Lob some shells on that. Keep it from getting any closer. Come on, where's the rest of you? There they come. So I just got to hope and pray that there's no artillery fire from the enemy directed onto the bridge now. Just get as much over as I can. Form a bridgehead. It's dangerously close to the bridge. Dangerously close. Another tank. My shells are missing it. Oh, what's going on? Come on, it's all stalled. Oh, you stopped. No chance of getting over that bridge, so just grab this slot
Wir sind bereit.
and tell them to go that way.
Motor ab.
And this lot as well.
Wir sind bereit.
Schnell! Artillerie ist bereit.
They're just so slow moving and such an inviting target. And as you've seen, one shell and the bridge goes up in splinters and I have to start all over again. And again, I've selected my artillery, field artillery. So just lob some shells into anything that becomes revealed. But that area there is definitely a lot clearer now. So that's looking promising.
Ja. Ja.
Artillerie ist bereit.
Herr Oberst, los!
So what's over this side? It's pretty clear there as well, so job done. Think I'll be able to get quite a lot of armour over the bridge now before the enemy can stop me. there's a whole mass of reinforcements coming as well. So basically they take the most convenient route. So if the bridge is choked, they move down there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I want to kind of keep the enemy back on this side of the river as well. So it's kind of splitting the force 50-50 and doing my job for me. Just ordering another supply drop in on this side of the river now, so that I can keep them replenished with supplies. Being fired at by something there, so there's obviously some enemy moved up there. So I'll lob some shells in there, and in a second you should see some planes arriving with a supply drop. We'll move some of these tanks up just to push the threat back a little bit. Definitely get those Sturmtigers over. There's a shadow of a plane. You can see there, and parachuted supplies coming in. I love the graphics in this. Just think it's wonderful. And let's see. Oh look, there's an anti-tank gun there. Get that knocked out. So 3 shells there should have done the job with that one. So I'm not being particularly sophisticated about this now. I'm just dragging and clicking and just trying to persuade as much of this as I can to get over the bridge. This supply vehicle, it's quite, I really want that on the other side of the river, but it keeps getting to the pontoon bridge and then getting blocked and deciding to go the long way around and getting destroyed. So I'm going to have to sort of shepherd that over. In the meantime, form a bit of a line here. Right, so I'm going to go at getting that. Still being attacked at this end. Taking an awful lot of damage without even realising. Oh look! Oh. So, what's actually happening is that the enemy's long-range artillery is right at the back of the map, and I'm just being spotted by small units and individual soldiers, and then that long-range artillery just homes in on anything that's there. So, like these little figures here. See, the figures are spotting it on the right, but the shells are coming in from the top. So, I want to get you over the bridge before. Unfortunately, as I say, you really have to walk this vehicle over the bridge because it keeps wanting to turn around and it realises it can't get, and then it turns around again when it can't get back. And this is a really dangerous situation now. So it's really exposed. Right, it's over. Got some more shells in this unknown area here.
Artillerie ist bereit.
In the hope of knocking something out.
Artillerie ist bereit.
What's happening now is some of my artillery is out of range, so I'm going to have to move it a bit closer. And
Einheit bereit.
I need to try and build up a force with which I can attack over this side, but for every kind of 3 vehicles I get over, 2 of them would seem to be destroyed. A nice little juicy grouping of vehicles and so on there, so I know now to put some shells in that area, even though I can't see what's there any longer.
Artillerie ist bereit.
Löscht sie aus.
Artillerie ist bereit.
Anti-tank gun.
Tötet sie.
Waiting for my artillery to reload. Fails to do so whilst that gun's visible, but then you should see some shells landing in that area now. Just got to hope that one of them hits.
Einheit bereit. Los, los,
Right.
los. Wir sind bereit.
Have a little bit of a tank attack here now. And while that's going on, just try and order some more vehicles over the river.
Artillerie ist bereit.
Get my artillery ready. Let's see what resistance they meet now. Tank there, under those trees. And there's the couple of the long-range guns. An anti-tank gun down on the right there. So at least I know now, I've got a rough idea of where I can plant some shells. So I'm just ordering that at the moment. And start another attack if I can. We run out of units to
Wir sind
order over
bereit.
there.
Schneller. Einheit
But the
bereit.
tide of battle is definitely turning now. I think the bridgehead is relatively secure.
Pioniere bereit. In Ordnung. Werd's versuchen.
The next objective is to knock out that long-range artillery next, and then move across the table to the objective, which is the sort of enemy-held compound.
Artillerie ist bereit.
Now that long-range artillery now is too far away, so I'm just ordering them up, but that's going to take forever because they're having to be
Bestätigt.
manhandled.
Artillerie ist bereit.
crossroads is roughly where the anti-tank gun was. It's a bit of a waste trying to fire at individual figures because by the time your shells have landed they've moved, but they can do your tanks a lot of damage. But I'd rather wait until the tanks seem to be busy firing into that building. There, just destroyed it. Right, there are the guns again. Now this German vehicle is an anti-aircraft gun, and it would be, it's just been knocked out, but it would be useful because it actually doesn't damage the gun, but it machine guns the crew, and that leaves the gun unmanned, and you can actually take them over. And some long-range artillery on this side of the table would come in very handy. Right, there's a whole new flood of reinforcements coming now, and the odd one seems to filter across the bridge, so I'll try and encourage a bit more of that rather than wasting my time getting destroyed at there. If I get the majority of this over, then that gives me a really good offensive force to try and complete the game. You see, the ones that went of their own initiative across the bridge are all turning off to the right because their objective is to get to the enemy-held compound, and I don't want them to go direct to it. So I'm going to have to be careful to try to stop that happening. Get them all to turn left as they come over the bridge. There's another solitary infantryman running bravely forward there, so we'll try and back him up with a bit of artillery fire. If he manages to spot anything, see how far he gets. Managed to get that anti-tank gun in the crossroads there. It looks like it's been flattened. So that was all done off table, as it were. I just ordered the artillery to lob shells into that area whilst I was controlling the rest of the vehicles, and they seem to have done their job well. Let's get a few more of these across now. Yep. See the long-range artillery there being dragged by hand.
Wir sind bereit.
Ja. Schneller!
Einheit bereit. Los geht's.
Herr Robert. Ja.
Getting some pretty meaty tanks across now. Tigers going over at the moment. Not Tigers, King Tigers.
Wir
There's
sind
a lovely
bereit.
big group there.
Schneller.
So I think they're pretty safe now. Get them up into the corner. Some more guns there. And that's the Sturmtiger firing at them, because that has got a fantastic range on it. So the motorcycle spotted it and the Sturmtiger finished it off. The infantry in the other building there being this is what was doing all the damage on the bridge, I'm sure. So revenge for that. The King Tigers. Let's move up. Get the supply vehicle up there as well. Try and get these guys to come back. Lovely, another wave.
Einheitsbereit.
Ooh,
Einheitsbereit.
there was some enemy artillery there. There, it's just being destroyed. And just going to pause this game, get my breath back in a moment, and then we'll try and accomplish the next stage of the plan, which is to go across the top of the map into that enemy compound and capture it, and that'll be the game won. Somebody occupying that building as well. No longer. Masses of armour coming over the bridge now.
Wir sind bereit. Motor ab.
And loads of infantry. So half of this I'm going to let do its own thing, and the other half I'll order up into that far corner where all my armour is now. And then it's around this point, I think, that I pause the game.
Einheitsbereit.
There's my objective. But the artillery is all out of range of it. So I can't lob any shells into it, so I'm going to have to attack it, because it would take hours to get the artillery moved. There's nothing to tow the German guns in this scenario. Don't know why.
Eliminate them.
There's the pause now. Right, so just a brief pause, and we're back now. And I'm going to drop some more supplies into this far corner now. Just to keep them replenished with ammo and so on. Let that happen while I'm waiting for the infantry to get across. Coming under attack down here. I mean, been taking a knock down this end. Look at that bunker there. It's been completely obliterated and very little left there. But the object of the game isn't to preserve your base; it's to attack the enemy base. So just move a few bits across there to deal with anything that comes this way, but there's a stone bridge that you only saw briefly at the beginning of the game, right down in the sort of far right of the table, that's still intact at this point and the enemy can use, but the more they deplete their forces on this side now, the easier it makes for me to capture their base. So this is building up into. There's the drop that you didn't see the planes drop that, but that's my drop of supplies there.
In Ordnung. That's Versuch.
Just moving him up into the far right corner so I don't draw a box across him and compel him to go in with the tanks into the attack. So I'm trying to keep him intact.
Artillerie ist bereit. Artillerie ist bereit. Artillerie ist bereit.
Just working out at the moment where I've got range to reach with my artillery.
Herr Oberst.
Right, so the infantry I'm going to send first. See how they get on at going into the compound, and then we'll move the tanks and all the motorised stuff a little bit closer. See what happens to them. Right, there's a couple of anti-tank guns there. And I can't reach them with my artillery now, so wasn't able to do much about. At least I know they're there. Just couldn't do much about those. Let's see what happens now. They're pretty effective at wiping out these tanks, and all ungone. There's also enemy down on the bottom of the screen there. You can see a little chap running in. But they're being clobbered from the enemies occupying that village just off the bottom of the screen there as well now. So taking some pretty heavy losses. Just got to lights on now, see if I can get in. So that red cross means my guns haven't got that range, so I can't give them any support. I've got to do it all on my own. But the Sturmtiger can certainly do that. Got one out, and then lob another rocket in there. Hopefully, finish the second one off. It does take a little while to reload. There we go. Got ya. And then if I keep that Sturmtiger there and just plant a few rockets here and there, that can act as my support now, covering the rest of the advance, which seems to have been completely and utterly destroyed. So at least I've got a few more bits and pieces coming over now. There's a whole load more coming onto the table.
Wir sind bereit. Weiter geht's. Wir sind bereit. Schneller!
Herr Oberst.
Einheit bereit.
Right, so I'm going to let these three tanks try and knock out that Wolverine that was close to the bridge there. Oh, and a Sherman as well. So at least my long-range artillery is in range of these targets, so I can do a bit of damage to them.
Wir sind bereit. Weiter geht's. Tempo ab. Einheit bereit. Weiter geht's.
But as with the other scenario that I've put up a video about already, reinforcements are really sort of odd thing to work out in this game because I'm getting loads of them, and I think it must be to do with reaching a certain point on the table. Now these motorcyclists are going to attempt to get across this other intact bridge here. They fell, but you can just see it on the right there. And that's revealed a few more infantry that I can't touch because I'm out of range of it. Yeah, can't do anything about them. Yeah, because I am being, really sort of plentifully supplied with
Wir sind bereit.
tanks and you can't, all you've got to do is just throw it now into that far corner. And there's very little to oppose it, so I'm pretty certain of winning the scenario now. The main difficulty was getting across that river, the sort of first half of the game. But once I'd achieved that, the game was kind of over really. But it is such good fun just watching all these little characters do their own thing, and the sort of unique kind of animations and graphics that they have. But half the time you haven't got a clue. Oh, there's that Sherman tank again. Put some shells there, see if they land in the right area. Yeah, that must have got it. I reckon that first one knocked out that.
Artillerie ist bereit.
More reinforcements. Right, we'll just move this bunch up.
Vorwärts, Kamerad.
Wir sind bereit. Weiter geht's.
Keeping that Panther on this side of the table. I don't want the enemy to walk into a completely undefended base. One little chap under a tree there. I'll knock him out. Right. So another big push, I think. Drag a box across the whole lot and just click onto the objective point there. Oh no, I'm going to move them there first of all. Just to try and eliminate some of that fire that was coming from the woods and the village.
Angriff.
That's come in handy that the vehicles I'm not controlling that are filtering off to the right of the pontoon bridge are actually distracting some of the enemy from firing at this assault going on at the top of the map. So unintentional favourable result there. And now this has got to be close to the end now because my tanks are just rolling into the objective. Well, at least one of them is. Crushing the barbed wire. Others following it up, and I've won. Victory. So there you go. Another game that I really enjoyed playing. Again, you can see from the number of units that I lost compared to the units I destroyed that I took a lot of damage, but hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching.